I have officially left Blackmagic for Sony and I'm never going back. Okay. What I mean is, for my YouTube videos, that is videos I film of myself by myself, I will not be using my Blackmagic cameras. Majority of YouTube videos I have shot in the past have all been shot on my Blackmagic Pocket 4K and sometimes my 6K Pro. I would literally have to use my phone to remote dial in the focus over Bluetooth, trusting that it was correct. I would have to try to sit steadily, making sure not to move my face out of focus. Now I can consider just using the pocket cameras for commercial or client work. I actually started my filmmaking journey over 10 years ago with the Canon 60D. I eventually got a second 60D body and then the 70D, which I was using to shoot a lot of travel documentary work. And after saving for a while, I was able to buy my first ever 4K camera, the Panasonic GH5. This changed the quality of my work. I immediately bought a lens adapter, so I was able to use my Canon EF lenses, and I really enjoyed filming with this camera, especially with vlog. Later on, I got my first Blackmagic camera, the Pocket 4K, which was another game changer. Its lens mount was the same as the GH5, so all I needed to do was get an extra lens adapter and still maintain the same old camera lenses I had. This was easy. As time went on, I was able to get a Pocket 6K Pro, and with it I was able to get better image. I was still able to continue using my EF mount lenses, but when I started making YouTube videos, I realized something was wrong. That was when I decided to look for a camera with great autofocus. Now, the thing is, I already have Canon EF lenses, I own a GH5, 2 pocket cameras from Blackmagic. If I'm getting a new camera, it should be able to take at least my lenses for now. And it should be budget friendly. I settled with the Sony A7IV. I love my Sony A7IV. It makes filming super easy. It isn't perfect, which I will talk about later on in this video. But really quick, if you have not subscribed, please just take a second to hit the subscribe button, another half second to hit the like button. 1, 2, that's it. Thank you so much. So back to the Sony A7IV. Although I've loved the pocket cameras because of the impressive color signs, wide dynamic range, I'm able to shoot in B-roll and easily edit in Resolve. I just got tired of the lack of follow focus when filming myself, and the file sizes are large even though my settings were mostly 4K B-roll 12:1 ratio. After shooting my talking head and depending on if I do make a lot of mistakes, I could end up with 80 to 120 gigs, and this is without B-rolls. I was chewing through a lot of hard drive space. I'm still thinking of investing into a RAID system. Would you suggest anyone in the comment section below? Anyways, enough of that. The Sony A7IV is my first full-frame camera. This camera is a 33 megapixel full-frame back illuminated sensor, which means it handles low light shooting with breeze. This is the highest resolution available on a mid-range camera without breaking the bank when compared to the Canon R5 and Sony A7R5, and the autofocus itself is perfection. I also considered the Lumix S series, but was discouraged because of its lens mount. Remember, investing in a new brand of lenses is a no-no for me at this stage. So even though autofocus is not always related to sensor quality, I have to say that the autofocus on this system is hands down the best I have seen. Coming from someone who has filmed using manual focusing for the past 10 years and even in low light situations, the A7IV still surprised me. Wow, it doesn't even struggle. The A7IV, which I'm currently filming with now, features 2 separate 4K video modes that are very different. One, it shoots 4K at 24 frames and 30 frames per second, which is real-time video with no crop. So you get that full frame wide look, and it's actually done sampled from the entire 33 megapixel 7K image area. So your 4K really has the detail and clarity of 7K. And you might as well treat it as 7K as it stays sharp even when you zoom in, which really helps even in low light situations. It shoots the 4K at 422 10-bit color with very high bit rate, and if you wanted to, you could use this for professional work. You're probably wondering about the second 4K video mode. Yes, in the other 4K mode, the camera crops into Super 35 mode. This allows you to shoot in 24 to 30, 60 frames per second. Now, when you crop into the sensor in most cameras out there, the image quality drops because you're losing half your sensor's megapixels. But because this is a 33 megapixel sensor, when I shoot in this Super 35 mode, I hardly notice any differences in the quality of my image. Now onto autofocusing, which is the reason for buying this camera. The only time I have seen this camera struggle while autofocusing is when there's an object in front of my face. The camera would try to keep the focus on my eyes or face. So to beat this, what I usually would do to make it focus on the object is to cover my face and eyes by putting my hand in front of my face or behind the object, which for me is totally okay to deal with. It has great dynamic range by about 1.5 stops when shooting in log profile, and it can also make internal proxies, which is actually a great feature for me. Although the Sony A7IV media codec is not easy to edit with compared with the pocket cameras, my 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro has been able to handle it without any issues. I have noticed a very slight struggle with my 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro, especially when I begin to add color correction effects, sharpening text and all that in Resolve, compared to B-roll files in it. So to mitigate this, I just like to toggle the proxies on without having to stop editing and then render them out. Another reason has been the use of low pass filter. To simply explain, when compared to the 6K Pro and the 4K, the blacks are better reproduced as it would be or what I think they should be. To fix this on the pocket cameras, you can buy an OLPF filter and put this in front of your lens or buy one and self-install in front of their sensors. But the A7IV sensor comes with one, so this issue is almost non-existent. On the outside of the body, this camera has 4 custom buttons and there is a toggle to go between photo and video mode. It stays in video mode most of the time as I'm not a photographer. I only tried the photo capabilities of these cameras when I unboxed it and that was it. It has a full-size HDMI port, 3.5mm input for mics, another 3.5mm output for monitoring audio, a mini USB and USB-C port which can be used for high-speed data transfer and to power the camera and charge its battery. The battery the A7IV uses is a Sony NPF Z100. It's able to last up to 2 hours in 4K mode as long as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are turned off. On the other side of the body are 2 SD card slots that allow dual recording, and one of the other card slots can accept a Type A CF Express card. Although I just made the switch about 2 months ago, I think I should have made this switch a long time. But what slowed my decision was having to buy a new set of lenses, until I realized that I could just continue using my current set of lenses like I'm doing now with a Sony E-mount to EF adapter. I'm currently using the Sigma MC11, and because I have Sigma lenses, this was an easy decision. With this adapter, my Sigma 18-35 f1.8 works perfectly. And this has become my combo for filming all my YouTube videos. Another amazing thing about the Sony E-mount is that you can adapt a wide variety of lenses to it, unlike most camera brands out there. I considered going with Canon. Canon was not allowing third-party lens support. This is a pretty big deal as Canon RF lenses are crazy expensive, and not having cheaper alternatives from Tamron or Sigma sucks. Personally, I think brands like Sigma and Tamron make the best value lenses on the market. Normally, they're only a little bit behind in performance, but they're significantly cheaper. For instance, the wide-angle Canon RF 15-35 2.8 is currently going for roughly $2,400, while something like the Tamron 17-28 f2.8, which is not available for Canon, is roughly about $600 to $700. So even if you're losing a few millimeters in each direction and stabilization, it's like a third the price and it's smaller and lighter. One other thing is that the E-mount allows adaptation to a wide variety of other lens mounts. So I'm currently filming this episode on the Sony A7IV and Sigma 18-35 on the Sigma MC11 adapter, and this didn't cost a lot. If I want to buy a nicer expensive Sony lenses, I could do that. One other reason why I didn't go for Canon is that dreaded Canon IBIS wobble. If you don't know, the newer Canon cameras have IBIS, which has been producing this ugly warpy wobbly stuff in the corners when shooting on wider angle lenses, and in my opinion it's totally unacceptable. I think the reason it bothers me so much is because it's supposed to be like a premium feature. It's in their most expensive mirrorless cameras, and honestly, when it messes up, I would be very embarrassed to use that footage. I don't even get such wobbly effect when filming on my old Panasonic GH5 camera. This is one of the features you want in a pro camera, but then it doesn't work, so you just disable it. and then your footage just looks shaky. Meanwhile, Sony cameras just work. Monitoring what I film, especially while filming myself, has been a breeze. Although I use a portable monitor to see my frame, I'm also able to wirelessly transmit the image through Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and using my phone or iPad, and also control the functions and even go as far as selecting my focus point. With my Blackmagic cameras, I'm only able to control the cameras using the phones, but there is also no wireless transmission of the image. This Sony camera is not perfect. Coming from Blackmagic, the Sony menus are just too complicated. Finding things out at first was a nightmare. One easy thing I could do on the Blackmagic cameras was to easily format my cards. It's a nightmare on the Sony. It's taken me a lot of hours of fiddling to get comfortable enough to know where most things are and change them on the go. I still don't think it's a big deal because it's just a learning curve, and in time you get used to it. But if this was my first camera ever, it would be a little bit more complicated to get used to. Lastly, overheating. Yes, overheating. The Sony A7IV does overheat, but this occurs when filming in high image setting with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth also turned on over a long period of time. To reduce the possibility of overheating, you can change the auto power off temperature to high. Open out the LCD screen. Some people suggest opening the battery door, but what has worked permanently for me has been buying and installing the Ulanzi cooling fan. With this, I have not experienced any issues with overheating. Hopefully you've learned something from this video, but these days, what matters is going out and making great stuff than the logo on your camera. So see you next time. Bye bye.